Yep. What's up? What it do? Hello. What's up, Austin? Different account today. What's up, Gerardo, Rafa, Harshi, Jeff, Joe? Got the whole gang on here. Seth, Corey, Greg, Brandon, Karen, Austin, Kanzada, Tom. Got Pips on deck, Fernando, Edgar, British Brandon, Patrick, Shelby. Hello, hello. Alright, Mike, if price is in your entry but didn't mitigate, but it keeps making higher highs if in your entry, would you get out or stay in? Proof of strength in your sell. What's up, Jamie? EQ's been choppy for a day and stopped me out, wondering if I should consider the higher high to get out. Okay, I can get into that. I think I understand your question. So yeah, I was looking for buys on Dow here. I wanted to take a buy, but I wanted a little lower. We saw a pretty good move towards the end of the day on Thursday. Saw a nice little sweep down here, a little push before it rallied, and then we just saw Tokyo lows and London lows. But it looks like Dow just wanted to obliterate London lows with this New York Open and then just rally. So I mean, fine, whatever, bro, whatever. So yeah, not really the entry for me there, which is fine. And Q, on the other hand, had continued to rally. I know there was a sell setup here. I ended up taking Dow shorts and not NQ because of the divergence, how price was playing into this area. So when NQ approached this zone yesterday, Dow was had already dropped significantly and was slowly working its way back up. So I actually ended up taking a shakeout setup over here. We didn't quite make it in. Over here, and then we saw the market drop into this zone. So this was the sell that I was in. Got to like a 2R, maybe a little less, 1.5, something like that. I think this was a little higher. It's about a 2R. Anyways, this took this last bit of liquidity, and then the market ran. So I did end up taking Dow, but to answer your question with NASDAQ, when you're getting, and I think I need a little bit more detail to make sure I understand your question. But if price is in your entry, so like I think that's, you're saying it's in this zone, and it's been choppy, so it was moving like this. If this was the mitigation though, so this drop was the move. So at this point, once it makes this kind of movement, stop should be in reduced loss, or honestly at this point, probably in profit. So yeah, this should have been trailed pretty well. But to answer your question, if it starts to make higher highs, if the smaller time frame starts switching, I don't have enough data to confidently say like, yeah, you should switch it up. Typically, based on the smaller time frame setups I'm looking for, I probably don't even get a higher high, like time 4. Like there's enough zone for price to unfold there. So, but that's a good theory. I would look into it for sure. I was in your short. So, okay. Now remember guys, I feel like maybe, I don't know if it's selective listening, but I talk about these setups and I always say, make sure you're aware of correlation. Make sure you're aware of divergence. So when I pull up a zone, like please just don't listen to what you want to hear, because I'm very specific about it. So yeah, hopefully at least that made sense. Good thing this one didn't lose. Like you should have been able to manage it well. But for me, this wasn't valid because of how Dow was going into it. And I don't take it as a blame, right? I just want to make sure that communication is going through properly. Because I know sometimes we see it and it's like at least for me, I know I naturally have to kind of fight this. Where like if you see a setup, then you want that setup. Like you see it, it's like, oh, this looks so good. And then if later there's evidence that that setup isn't as good as you originally thought, there is a little bit of a fight back. Like we kind of want it, like we kind of still want it. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if that happens to you guys, but like you see a zone, you're like, oh, this looks so good. And then there's evidence on something else, and you're like, yeah, but I kind of still want to take it. Just because you already had opportunity, right? It was at some point an opportunity to make some money, or to get further in your trading. So yeah, just something to think about, guys. Okay, cool. You didn't use correlation. Oh yeah, so if you don't use it, then yeah, it's definitely that's the setup you're looking for sure. I would say if you got into profit here and you weren't moving your stop at all, ask yourself, is that something you want to keep doing? If that is, like, did you follow your stop management rules? Maybe you don't have one specifically yet, or if I don't know, maybe it just slipped by. So I'd say just be aware of that, because you should have at least been into some profit. I feel like that's a trade that should have been managed, but again, I don't know your system exactly. So you measured the wrong candle. Okay. I got you. Okay, so as of right now, we're still seeing NQ go further and further and further at all-time highs again on NASDAQ right now. This is a pretty strong sweep of liquidity. Maybe there's a chance that this becomes something else, but for now, I'm not touching that. What ended up absolutely picking up a ton of momentum so far is Dow. So Dow here, for sure, if Dow keeps pushing higher, I do think we're going to be in buy territory. So if we don't maintain bullish structure, then I would not look for this higher buy zone, and I would stay waiting for this lower one. So if this right now, let's say if this doesn't hold up, if this doesn't hold up over here, then I probably won't consider this, and I will wait on this down here. So as of right now, this one is already valid, this lower zone, so pending buy zone over here. This one still needs bullish structure confirmation. So not quite there yet. From here, gold's just been chopping up and down. This was London's low, so I could see some of you maybe bought this here. Had a little sweep and a continuation. So that was pretty well played, you know. Yesterday during our syndicate session, we were looking for possible shakeouts with gold. After it took out the New York high, like we were looking for the market to play out of here, but it ended up taking too long. I think it was still actually a pretty decent trade nonetheless. But yeah, we didn't end up really doing much. I think gold right now is building up quite a bit of liquidity over here. So breaking below this at some point it looks like it's going to happen. Gold and silver definitely not flying the same way that indices are. You guys can see like NQ, oh my god, Dow, S&P, everything is just going crazy. So yeah, gold contract is ends in a Q, so it's a GCQ or MGCQ. So make sure you're on the right contracts right now. Okay, then that leaves us to oil. Oil, I was looking for shakeout here, and honestly, I think we ended up getting the move during London session, so we got a pretty good bounce. We were seeing quite a bit of choppiness here. The market ends up creating a significant amount of liquidity, and it's just kind of luring in more and more. Eventually, this ends up getting deep retracement before the continuation. So when the market starts to break out and sweep liquidity, this is the sign to start to move your stops. So I know we took a buy here yesterday for, here we go. During syndicate session, we talked about buys. I think it was around like here. So deep retracement, almost tagged us out. And then honestly, had I been up, this would have been a much better trade. I felt yesterday, I made the decision to say, all right, you know, I'm going to let this thing ride, and then hopefully I don't have to manage it too much, and it'll be fine by the time I wake up. I woke up a little too late. So didn't get to move my stop into break even, ended up taking a loss on this. But on the bright side, because I knew it was getting later into the day, also I did take less risk on this trade because I knew there's a chance I wasn't gonna be able to manage it the way I wanted to. So yeah, it depends. But yeah, took out Tokyo highs and then basically called it there. Yeah, so it's all good. Are there any new setups that I'm looking for here with oil right now? Not really. We've been, you know, we've traded out of this 4-hour like range a few times now. We've seen, you know, deep pullbacks into here. We've basically traded down to this area. So I'm not really looking for anything with oil. I think if we're going to get any positions, it might be well below this. So I'm just gonna wait it out. Like, I just need a brand new setup. Maybe we see a big sweep down, liquidity capture with oil here. Maybe we end up getting something else. As of right now, yeah, there's nothing on the table for me. So just gonna let oil do its thing. Regarding sells, right? Could there be sells on oil here, considering you're seeing a bunch of lower lows and lower highs? Is there a place here where sells make sense? And I think this is where I like possible shorts over here. So if you look at the market here, this is yesterday at around 11. This was the final spike into the imbalance before the market takes off. So right there. Now I'm gonna look at this on the mini contract because this got really close. Right there. No, I think, yeah, we're still good for this. So I think if we get over to here, I would like shorts around like 89, 90. We've seen consistent lower lows and lower highs. And I think we could trade up to here. So this would be a pretty good area for shorts. But regarding buys with oil right now, they're not it. Do I trade NAS in New York or if a setup presents in London? I'm never up for London session, but yeah, I mean, NQ has enough volatility during that time to play out. I know there's a handful of traders in here that trade London and they trade indices. If setups are there, yeah. Okay. So with the way that we're seeing the market unfold after New York Open and with so much bullishness, right now, I mean, it looks like this Dow buy just might set up pretty well. Now we've been trading above these highs here for a good amount of time. Like, it's not just a quick move, about 10 minutes or so. So as long as Dow stays trading up here, let's just say for like the rest of the hour and even beyond, then this looks pretty decent. Yeah, I would say you just need good setups though. Like if you're trading in indices in London session, just don't trade some bogus setup. Don't trade anything that like you're forcing to look good. Like the setups look so easy, like this one, right? Mitigation or shakeout, or like whatever you're trading, they look very obvious. So for example, let's see, like here, a big sweep of liquidity worked its way down. Like you just don't need to force anything. Like would I have traded anything during London session here yesterday? No, there's nothing here to trade. So there wouldn't have been anything with, at least not with Dow. NQ, maybe you could argue the sweep here and then this mitigating this pump right there. So like a short right here, and then stops should go to break even or reduced loss pretty quickly. But like they're gonna be pretty obvious. Metals, in my opinion, metals are like the one. Metals you can trade any session. There's enough volatility just always with metals. So yeah, metals can typically play out you saw the some of you that trade like specific order blocks, like those higher time frame order blocks in like specific areas, like the silver buy here. This happened during London session. So yeah, there's a couple different assets that are decent. Oil is also, I'd say metals and oil are for sure all around. Any session, green light, at least they are for me. Indices, not so much during Asian, every once in a while. If it's triggered because of like some sort of like warfare, Trump tweet, or like whatever oil type of news, if that triggers during Asian session or London session, then that's kind of when I would say you have the green light for those type of trades. Wow, this shakeout on Australian is so good. I think it's still going. That's a beauty right there. All right, so let's look at majors real quick. See if we got anything. A lot of liquidity here for pound. I bought a breakthrough. Slower on the way up for the pound than Australian for sure. Euro did end up shorting out of here. Nice. I didn't take this trade, right? I didn't love how we came down and up here, so not my cup of tea right there. Okay, so setups right now, I'd say you have a couple setups with Australian and NZD. You have a nice sweep down here, a nice push to the downside, continuation. So NZD and AUD, I believe, have similar plays. Big push and then massive movement up. NZD, I think, leading the movement though, way more bullish, on a mission right now. So this at some point probably plays out really well. Cool. So I like NAS in the future. See whenever we get back to here. It's nice. Okay. So all right, let's go over. This will be, I guess, Tradetopia setups. May 29. Well, it's almost over, guys. So here is 6N, NZD. It's my tickets time though. So could take a while to get back here. Alerts set. So I'm gonna categorize some of these trades as like, how would I put it? Like some of these are not gonna play out right away. Some of these are gonna take some time. I'd say these are maybe possible swing setups. So I'll just say like that, like swing trades. I'll set them up this way. Intraday trades, swing trades. Yeah, we'll put it this way. So clean. Australian, man. Australian's been feeding. It's been like giving a lot of nice ones. Yen still has potential. So this is, there's buys and there's sells available here. We'll focus on this here. So here's yen. Now guys, just because I'm sending this in here doesn't mean you have to take all of these. Doesn't mean that you need to even care about any of this. I just give you all options. I'm here to serve as many of you as possible. Some of you may not be interested in majors at all, like in anything outside of indices. Some of you might be specialists in metals or in just one asset, so which is totally fine. Both longs and shorts here. Still waiting on either. So you just got to know what works better for you. The volume of what you trade. So like how often, how you can stay organized or not. Like I like having a lot of options because then I feel like it's easier to stay detached when you're not like, oh my God, like I need this trade here today, otherwise like I'm screwed. Like I knew this guy who only traded euro. And I'm like, okay, like why do you only trade euro? It's like, oh, I just like it. Okay. Well, how often do you have a setup there? Oh, you know, sometimes a couple of weeks. Sometimes I have to wait weeks. Okay, like is that enough to make this, you know, worth your time or your career? Like, he's like, well, I don't know. I'm like, okay, I guess. Cool. Like if you just want to live in the I don't know, and that's cool. Like do you have a certain model? Does this only work on euro? Like no, I think it works on other stuff. Like, okay, so you know, like are you gonna push your career forward? Are you gonna just wait around until somehow it works? So I guess guys, like understand the volume of opportunities that you get. So like majors, like currencies, they don't give the same type of trade volume that you would get with indices or metals by any means. So how many trades are needed for you to have it work based off the capital that you're working with and just your skill? How much reward can you get out of, let's say, a month? Because you want to be disciplined, absolutely. You want to stay focused, right? You want to stay detached. You want to be patient. All of those things are true. All of those things are true. But at the end of the day, if you're only going to take 4 trades a month and you need to be able to get X amount of R with the capital you have, then is it really worth it? Like, so whenever you guys are, you know, looking at the markets, do you have to have as big of a range that I do? No, you don't need that. But you do just need to know your numbers. You need to know your stats. You need to know your data. Otherwise, like you're just living in an illusion because you just never decided. You know, you never looked into it. So, all right, Bitcoin setting up for a larger swing move up. Ooh, yeah, I was looking at that. I'll actually look at that here in a second. Yeah, what? no trash setups, ideally. I've been only trading NAS for 3 years mostly, so I want to stick only NAS myself. Yeah, if you can get enough out of NAS is one of those where I think you can just, like, if you focus only on NASDAQ for execution, you can get enough risk reward out of that. Same thing with Dow, S&P, gold. I think those are the few where you can get enough, for sure. I can make 5 to 6 R per month on NAS, and usually when I trade more assets, I get greedy or lose focus. Okay. So there's 2 ways to look at it, right? There's don't bring in other assets. That way, there's not that greed doesn't come into play, or you know, you don't take away from your focus. I would say with focus, I understand there's a lot to juggle, so that you could lose focus. But to be fair, like set some alerts, and I think you can manage that. But the greed is something that is internal. That's not like, oh, I'm looking at all these other assets, so that's going to make me greedy. No, you're just greedy. So that is more of a like something to work on internally, find the root of the greed. Where does this stem from? Why do I believe that? Why do I have emotions attached to that belief system? And like that angle. So just a challenge that I would say, like, the focus, understandable. The greed, that's something that we personally can work on. Cool. Yep. All right, sweet. Sounds good. I love the observations in here, the self-reflection. I think Tom is definitely winning he's got the most points on the board for the chat today. Yeah, master discipline with 1 and then expanding from there. I like it. Guys, with Dow over here, you see how we had some price action up here, right? We got to work our way up a little higher. We traded above the previous high here for a couple minutes, and then we got up here again. So on and off for like 10 minutes or so. Went our way right back down, came right back up, came right back down. This is a little shaky, right? The structure is not the best. While S&P and NQ are still just ripping, just on a mission. So what does that mean for me? I personally am not going to take this. At least as of right now, this doesn't look like it's going to be the trade. I would much rather take a position over here on Dow if it were to break this structure. So that would liquidate another batch of traders, quite a bit, right? Trading into back into New York session. So this is going to be more of my focus. I don't, with the way that this is not really trading well up here, I think I prefer lower entries. And then also, I mean, with that being said, there was quite a bit of liquidity up here as we worked our way higher. So could we consider this, you know, like breaking through, pulling back? Is this building up retail buyers here? Could this possibly be a shakeout sell? Like, could we want to short this down because this is clearly, like, you're seeing Dow make lower highs right now while S&P and NQ are only making higher highs. So there's definitely a divergence in here. Obviously, we have a monumental move to the upside, which liquidated all of these sellers. Now there's, you know, they're kind of losing a lot of steam. So could we see some shorts out of here? Honestly, I think it's possible. I don't love like a full risk on this, but I am open to a little something here. So I want to see if we kind of just spike up into here and then just take a short. So yeah, let's see what happens. I want to see it kind of spike up a little more, like right into here. Let's see, maybe like right there. And then I'll set a limit here, just about half R. There's a chance that this doesn't come up and it just drops, but I want this entry. Correlation is really useful though. MYM and MES move with MNQ. What you can do is take a look at the other assets and pick the asset that gets to the setup last. Yeah, it does help quite a bit. Tom's just gonna do what Tom's gonna do, man. Because you gotta believe in the system, you know. Like, you gotta believe in what you see, what you learn, what you put into place. And if it doesn't make sense, then you can't force it to make sense. But if, you know, that's it. All All right, everything moving in unison now, decently. S&P dropping, Dow dropping. Now NQ is falling off too. So you see how we're all starting to kind of move together? All right, let's see. Maybe we get back up here. I'm gonna set alert in case we come back. What you don't want to do is start chasing the short. All of a sudden you're like, oh no, it's leaving me. And then you end up way over here. And then your RR is absolutely trash. And then it also, you get a terrible entry. And then if it doesn't go your way, now you're sitting a whole bunch of drawdown. So that's what you don't want to do, right? You don't want to chase it. Don't chase it, y'all. Don't be doing that. Because for all you know, this might just bounce out of here and then just build up more liquidity again. So, yeah, don't be chasing. It's all good. It's all good. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is let's go take a look at that Bitcoin setup that you talked about, Shelby. Let's go with Bitcoin. BTC sitting down around the 73. Okay. Traded above here for about 15 hours. We had a nice little pullback. Oh, right, Austin, you asked me about natural gas. Let me help you out there in a second. Got you. So, let's see. Bitcoin traded into this last sell-off. It's possible. Playing out of this order block, we could get a rejection. There's still definitely liquidity down here, more of an imbalance. I think we probably go a little bit lower. Maybe for a short-term reversal. But yeah, this Bitcoin setup here, I wouldn't say it's like my favorite. We already rejected it. Like we already got the mitigation, like we exchanged from sellers to buyers. So would I go for it again? I wouldn't take another entry or anything here. I think the move kind of already happened. So if like you were positioned, then awesome. But otherwise, you know, nothing that can be done there. Keep stacking though, for sure. Nas going in on this bone right now. Well, that's exactly what happened, right? When it came up to here, I was like, I might just miss this and not get in there. If this keeps this support, then it still could work. Otherwise, it's a wrap. All right, so you asked about gold on the 4-hour or the daily. Shorts. So as I'm looking at the 4-hour chart here, from this point of view, I mean, this looks like equal highs to me. So it looks like more like an opportunity to liquidate these levels and trade into this imbalance. I think we work our way up to like 46.80 at least. So even then, like I feel like being in buys up to here make more sense. I don't know if you're looking at like this move here. But yeah, this looks more like just retail sellers, liquidity. That's about it. Yeah. The buys make more sense. you have this absolute insane sell-off here. And keep that in mind, guys. The more aggressive you see some of these moves, the more aggressive the recoveries are as well. So you can kind of get into some nice swing trades, especially when you start taking out like higher time frame levels. These, for example, like this low right here held for months on end. Once that got taken out, if you end up seeing what you like enough confirmations, then you're in for a great trade. So like buys, I wanted silver buys at a year, didn't happen. We got a decent mitigation out of. We didn't trade this, but we got a decent mitigation out of something else. But yeah, let me quickly get to here. So look at what happens, guys, with indices. We're back over to here. We had equal lows that were established over here. So retail buyers are in, spikes up into this zone. Doesn't quite tag me in yet. Meanwhile, this is where things might get a little tricky. NAS is only going lower. So NAS already started its bearish trend to the downside. It's been the most bullish. But now it's starting to kick things off to the downside. So everything has been moving together, but now the moment that that short looks like it's good, it's these are not moving together anymore. So this is the most annoying price action possible, where all of a sudden things start to switch up. So Dow is already efficient, back up and down. Our S&P is very efficient, moving back up and down. NQ has started to drop first, now working its way up. So it looks like we're seeing the inverse correlation with these. I'm going to hold on to this Dow short because overall price action has been more bearish with Dow. Like it struggled to really keep going higher. So I'm okay with this short. I'm definitely at peace with this one. All right, so let me look at this. All right, we're in there. Let's get over there. Just double checking that we're gravy. Over here. Alright. Sweet. So I'm open to it. I like that we had liquidity here. I don't love price action in general. NQ, I don't know what happened here. They kind of got all wonky. But with the half my risk, my typical risk, this trade is, I'm at peace with the loss. I'm prepared for the loss for sure. We clear liquidity. The market does the break, retesting, luring in buyers once, twice, 3 times, and then this right here is what I'm not looking to take the buys. And then beyond that, you have tons of liquidity over here. Some more, right? We had, like we talked about, these Tokyo lows still there. And then even when we spiked all the way down to here, we kind of made some lower equal lows. So if this plays out, great. The risk reward, 5.5, incredible. And if not, sweet. That's okay too. So let's see if this is going to have enough steam. If price action would have been smooth like it was originally, I would feel a lot better. Now that this kind of switched up, I'm not super confident on this setup. And Q, for whatever reason, now is like super bearish, and then Dow just isn't following along, which is annoying because like this would have been, had we just had the same price action we're seeing here, obviously this makes a lot more sense. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, you guys, if you see the trade setup, great. Hope you follow your system. If you're like, I don't really know, I don't know if this is something I want to trade, then don't feel like you need to. You know what I mean? Like, don't feel like you need to just do what I do. Like, you are your own trader. You have to accept your own risks, your own decisions. And ironically, Dow is the only one that's not dropping. NQ selling off. Dow, S&P selling off. Metals selling off. It'd be like that, man. It really be like that. Fucking bullshit. So every once in a while, it's just how the story goes. Okay. So while this rolls out and we get to what we're gonna get to, whether it's getting triggered out, whether it's a miraculous reversal here, which is always possible. Never know. I never exit early on trades if the setup is the setup. Like, I need some sort of context, something special, like something technically that's giving me the signs, right? Here, I think the biggest difference is, so everything is aggressively dropping off. We can, for example, S&P trading back into these London highs where it's seen resistance. That typically is a place for a reversal. Like, that's an easy place for a little bounce. NQ, same thing. NQ, for example, on New York Open, or right after New York Open, we kind of got a pretty big sell-off, and then the continuation right here. So NASDAQ, for example, getting a decent bounce out of here. Not that I would buy right here, but this rebounding out of this zone is very possible. And would that then take Dow, like, if this bounces up, are we going to see NQ or Dow Jones also bounce this way? So since everything else is selling off aggressively and Dow isn't doing anything of that nature, getting out early, I would totally understand that. If that's your perspective, you're like, man, this is not dropping at all. Like, should I just get out? I get it. The only thing that, and this might be more hope than anything, is that if NQ goes up, is Dow going to have an inverse correlation? Or is the little smallest bounce to the upside going to just send Dow flying? So, yeah, that's the case. In this example, as soon as we started to see that the price action flip, I think that could have been the sign to just not even take the trade. Like, I was thinking that, like, all right, this is totally flipping correlation. One's going up, one's going down now for whatever reason. So we had the green light on the trade for Dow, but could it be better off if we just didn't take that? So, all right, seeing this jump, seeing that drop. I think we're, 15 points away from getting stopped out? $10 points away. Okay. And then what did YM look like here? So look at what I'm saying. Now NQ is starting to push higher. And then Dow's like, all right, cool. Are we gonna go down now? So is this an inverse correlation or something? It's kind of just a mixed bag here. So I have zero expectations for this. This didn't really move at all in the way that I expected it to. All the assets except for this moved in that favor. So, whoa, big moves here. Big spike down. You guys see that? I wonder if YM did the same thing. Nah, it didn't. That was just a little micro thing. Just got stopped out there. YM did not tag out, but MYM did. That would be really unfortunate. So yeah, there looks like a lot more volume, like there's slippage happening here with micros, which is unfortunate because this trade technically would still be in. Let's see. I do have YM running on some of these, so I don't know. Okay, let's see. S&P got exactly to this level. So this is where I expected at least the market to, let's say, imagine I was in shorts here. If I would have taken, like, let's say S&P shorts, this would have been a great take profit. Right where we saw resistance before, the London highs, it would have been a perfect exit. So, interesting. Look, NQ bouncing out of here, rejecting this order block, and then now Dow is like, all right, cool, we're working our way down. Making my way downtown. It's doing the thing. So, on the bright side, on the bright side is I'm still in this on a good amount of accounts for the ones that I traded with YM. That's the downside of those micros, man. They're a little sneaky ones sometimes. A little just poke right above. So if you survive the trade, then you're sitting right around entry. Up to you what you want to do with that. I'm going to keep holding. So let's see here. So this one's running right there. All right, so while this does whatever it's gonna do, let's see what was going on today. All right, Adobe almost at 250. We got some movement, big winners for today. Nintendo up 2.5%. Intuit up a little bit. Some losers. Tesla. All right, we're about like 20 points in profit on Dow. Yeah, any questions on stocks? Y'all let me know. Now, regarding this Dow trade, so when it comes down to reducing stop, I would reduce now to here. So give me a second, y'all. Get this right over here. And then what we saw was the market trade into this imbalance over here. The way I manage my stop with trades like this is I either, once it gets to imbalance, I start to reduce stop to just where it makes sense. So for example, like right to there, because now the reason that the market came down was to get efficient. It can target liquidity or it can target the imbalance. So now that it came back in and it filled some of this imbalance, you know, that's the motive on why I was going to push down at the bare minimum. Of course, if it goes to liquidity, even better. But right now, it's very clear that Dow is just less bearish than everything else. That there was a flip in, I guess, the way the price action was flowing. Yeah. So hopefully, this wants to just keep dumping. All right, look at that. NQ aggressively down. S&P aggressively pushing down. These indices did not take out this liquidity whatsoever, right? We didn't see liquidity sweeps with all of this. We didn't get below these levels. But, oh, you know what? That's interesting. That's a cool... Okay, so observation on why Dow maybe isn't as aggressive to... I've never noticed this until right now. So this is a theory. This is not... Like, I don't know for sure, but this just like was a little click in my head. And a lot of times, these end up becoming very important later. So... Notice one thing here. Now I'm gonna bring this up and I'm just gonna see if you guys see what I see. Alright. So what's something that you notice differently so look at NASDAQ, so just kind of look at this screen right now. It's dying. It's just fucking dying. And look at S&P. Okay. So these look relatively similar. What's the difference right now between Dow and NASDAQ? And how the day started? What's the difference here? What happened here? Bro, why did you send me money? Did you send me money? You're wildin', my guy. You definitely do not need to do that. I appreciate you. That's epic. What? You're the first person ever, actually. Thank you, man. That's a lot of love right there. But okay, so catch this. Why is it Dow swept and the others didn't? Exactly. So Dow sweeps first, clears out these lows and all that jazz. And then it runs. And it's running slower, right? So even when it's up here, we see it's kind of losing momentum and all that stuff. Okay. NQ doesn't sweep any liquidity. S&P doesn't sweep any liquidity. So all of a sudden, we're over here, right? And we're like, okay, it kind of makes sense. Dow is the one that's slower to the upside, all that, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, NQ and S&P were obviously just ripping, making its way up to here. Then, once S&P and NASDAQ are at the top or whatever, I wouldn't say that I didn't really have an entry or anything here. I just wouldn't have taken anything. But what changes price action is that it's not the same kind of incentive anymore for the market. Dow doesn't have the same incentive. Dow already obliterated tons of retail buyers, so it doesn't have the same drive to work its way down. Whereas NASDAQ and S&P here, both of these, there's way more aggressive bearish price action because there's way more to go target. So if with enough context, or what I'm going to be aware, look back and then moving forward, is when we get moments like this where only one liquidates and the others really don't, I'll be more mindful with the counter trend trade, because because we've seen this happen. And I've asked this question before, like, why is it that sometimes out of nowhere, like an hour after, or 30 minutes after they opened, all of a sudden, this one that was bearish is not bearish anymore. But one that was slowly moving higher, all of a sudden, there's a setup on the line, and it's like, it just stops. It's like, you know what? Now that you want to trade, yeah, I'm going to actually just not be trading in the same way. And I think that's what it is. Like that liquidity, the fact that now this already absorbed, it already took all the positions it needed, and then it drove its way up to here, it doesn't have the same incentives anymore. While NQ and S&P, they still do. Like this right now just bounced out of New York Open. So all right, S&P, New York Open bounce, great, whatever. NQ trades below New York Open because it was already more bearish anyways into this imbalance. Great. Do I think this is going to last? Probably not. I think this is probably going to go further down. But also, this is a trade that I've been telling you guys about as well, where you have liquidity, and this is the final boss. So for those of you that were on the syndicate session on Tuesday, right, we talked about this entry model where you have the last order block, the last push to the downside right there. Had I been more focused, this is the exact buy that I taught you guys on. Yeah, this is the exact buy I was telling you guys about, where it's very much context related. You had a day's worth of liquidity here building up, and this is the final bearish incentive, right? People see this and they go, oh look, here's a candlestick pattern, here's a 3 candlestick bearish engulfing whatever. So this is the last incentive, enticement into the market, and then off it goes. So now you get the order block rejection, and then this plays right into this. So even if you wanted to take profit right here, you're solid, you're straight. So the big thing here that I'm at least going to be putting into just observation is if we have price action and the asset that is lagging already liquidated a whole bunch of money and the other ones haven't, I'm going to be really mindful of going against, like, trying to short that same asset. So here, because this liquidated and nothing else did, even though this was lagging, even though this looked like a decent shakeout, I'm going to be a lot more mindful on that and kind of be more, realize like, okay, price action might flip over. Now this is one example, but it did like pop up at me. I was like, I don't think that's a coincidence. So we'll see moving forward what this looks like. And yeah, did any chance that at least the syndicate, for those of you that are on the Tuesday and I was going over this type of entry, anyone take at by any chance? And I know it's not, I'm not at a place where I'm taking these with full R, these kind of buys, but very curious to see if anyone was interested in that. But yeah, this is cool. Lots of learning. Tom, again, appreciate you, bro. You're a legend. Wanted to pin your message, but apparently I don't know if I can. Well, I guess it is what it is. But yeah, I appreciate you, man. That was my first YouTube payout. What a guy. MYM just did me dirty. Yeah, for sure. But I think that's why. I think that's kind of at least an observation. We'll see if that adds up. So as a team, as a collective here, we can kind of keep a lookout on different nuances, things that'll help us, avoid a loss here and there. Like, it adds up. Remember, avoiding a loss is also a net positive. It's the same as getting 1R. That's how I look at it. If there was a setup that you in the past would have taken, but now you're not, that's valuable. You just added an R. Eliminating losses in your system is adding not even 1R, it adds over the year, you might be adding 25R to your system because now there's a specific way in which you don't lose, in which maybe you would have before. Would you wait for NQ and S&P to sweep those lows and then buy? Yeah. Well, you know what? Now, funny enough, now the buy that originally I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this one. Well, now this makes a lot more sense because guess what we've been doing all this time, right? We've been maintaining structure up here. So now this buy actually could be pretty decent. See, how are these acting right now? Would I buy these? Probably not. I don't really have an entry for buys on anything really over here. There's definitely liquidity, London lows. Nah, I don't think I'm in the buying territory. Tons of liquidity here. Like, I wouldn't force any buys throughout all of this. S&P also has a ton of trendline liquidity here. So you might see this sweep some portion of this, maybe just London lows too, and then do its thing. Yeah. If we have, for example, like timing, everything coming together similarly makes life a lot easier. So imagine you have, let's say NQ or S&P sweeping liquidity, like taking out lows, and it's perfectly in time with this over here, then that's legit. Then I love the buy positions over here. And for buys, to get something worthwhile, I'd say at least we'd have to get, set up like over here. But I like how we've seen a lot of support in the past down here, like in these areas. So I'm looking like I prefer a risk reward down here. Yeah. Interesting. I love it. I love this is like the code, cracking these type of codes and figuring out all these little details. Like this is stuff that is interesting to me, and how everything starts to, like, you start to pick up little details that saves you a bit of money here and there. So yeah, that's fascinating to me. These are sessions that I enjoy. Alright, no sir. Buying last the 4 hour, 8 hour, so I see it. S&P looks more bearish. No data for the entry model, for sure. I don't know, there was a trendline liquidity below that. Yeah. I mean, I see the trendline liquidity. So that's why I wasn't like, I guess, expecting, one, I didn't really even think about it because it's not like a mitigation or shakeout that is just like second nature. Would I consider a buy on which? On what? I have a question. Silver had been super close to entry for mitigation the entire week, and then today finally hit that mitigation perfectly. I guess my question is, I wasn't honestly sure it was still valid since it stayed around that zone for so long. What are your thoughts on the market staying roughly around that mitigation zone? How do you validate it, if that makes sense? Silver mitigation zone. Which one? Oh wow, silver's been tanking. That dog thirsty. That's Naz. Naz is thirsty for that liquidity. Isn't that crazy? Nazi. Nazi, Nazi, Nazi. Let's see here. All right. 1 minute that happened recently. Madison, can you drop a chart? Oh, I didn't even send these yet. Hold on, let me drop your silver chart in the school, and then I can take a look at it. All right, so we saw silver start to kind of crack through this trend line, or not silver, S&P. Man, I'm tripping over here. Nas still has more to go, so. Here we go. So. And then Dow is just barely moving and barely even budging. Okay. So let me add this one here. So YM. Right there. Post. So now that's set here. Obviously, we've been live for a while. Unpin that. Pin this one. All right, cool. Let me know when you drop it, Madison, when you drop it in the school. All right, so yeah, what a difference. Like, this is really just continuously working its way lower while Dow is just chilling. Just big chilling. So S&P moving. There we go. Got to get the London lows over here. We got Tokyo lows over here. We're just starting to tap that trend line again. Dow holding this so well. So regarding the silver trade, I guess, I mean, here's where we sweep the high. The market works its way lower, struggles, comes up to this imbalance, works its way down again. And then it's like really trying to trade down here. So this is all kind of a mess. I guess the only silver buy or sell I could see again would be like this one, where you took out the high and then it just starts to reject like here. So if I let's say I was trading this, I probably wouldn't have survived break even. Like, I just would have got tagged out. So these aren't, yeah, there's not just trades that, like, based on my trade management, I wouldn't have held on to this. I would have got stopped out at break even, maybe reduced loss, like a tiny loss or something. Yeah, typically we don't really get a lot of, this doesn't really happen with higher time frame mitigation setups. All right, dude. These are bleeding out. I wanted a short out of here. I thought we could trade up into this and then sell off, but like just not enough steep. Yeah, damn. So S&P clearing a lot of these buyers, this trend line liquidity. Doesn't mean it's done yet though. I would say we're not, I don't know if we're quite there yet. NQ pushing. All right, here we go. Clearing through. Is there any sort of incentive here for reversal? Maybe this little push down, but would I get in the way of this thing? No, sir. What's unfortunate is I really honestly expected Dow to be like way down here already, way closer to these areas, but that's not the case, at least not yet. So I wonder if we do a real colossal, like, guys, everyone that saw this buy was like, yes. Now think about how many buyers got fucking wrecked right now. Just the sheer amount of carnage that is happening. So clearing Tokyo lows would be the absolute worst case scenario for like everybody in the last 12, 13 hours or so. And I think that's what's gonna happen. I think we're gonna get below all of this. Yeah. I think it's pretty likely. Would have loved to be in this. Very much so. But not today. Not today, guy. Not today. Cool. See it through. So let's see if anything is posted. I don't think. No, Madison, you didn't send anything in here. Ooh, we're almost at 100. I'd say I'd make a video to go with it if you guys hit 100. Just tag somebody or invite them in. I'll accept the request here in a second. All right. So yeah, I mean, big moves. We did get to that little 1 minute move that we saw first. Now it's starting to reject a little bit. S&P cleared London lows. Very nice, very nice. All right. Let's see. Gold did not follow along. What did start to make some pretty big moves is oil. Oil, after this last push down and a pretty weak break above, looks like it held the, it was like, you know what? Nah, we're gonna rip. Cleared this, so it cleared a couple hours worth of liquidity, made a little 1 minute, not even, like a 15-second time frame break here, rejected this, and it's been pumping ever since. So more than likely, this is gonna wanna push London highs. Yeah, I'm curious about these shorts over here. All right, well, that's really it for me. We saw S&P take out London lows. It's kind of eating that up right now. See if that's gonna hold or not. You see NASDAQ as well. Didn't quite break below London lows. It did take out a very good amount of retail buyers leading up to London session. So it still respected London here. Will that be the end? We'll see. Maybe it bounces out of here again and we see that. Because now after all of this crash, this is that hope. Like, oh my. All right, we're bouncing back. Everything's going to be okay, guys. And then imagine one more, like one more down. Couldn't be. So, yeah, my setup right now is just this one over here. If, for example, let's say, and obviously I'm jumping ahead and these are all just possibilities, but I run as many scenarios in my head as I can to be prepared. So if we were to crash, if NASDAQ crashes below Tokyo lows, and S&P does as well, and then let's just say at that time Dow isn't as deep in this zone and it's a little bit higher, then I'm open to, you know, getting in a little bit earlier. So that's why, like, when we start to have the full context, it's a lot easier to make decisions. Sometimes, like, for example, you might want to take a buy over here, but then if the market is showing you literally like, hey guys, already took liquidity just right now, we're trading down here, so is S&P, and then Dow's like, oh, well, I'm up here. If the market in real time is telling me something different than what I originally expected, well, I'm going to trade what I'm seeing, not what I wanted, right? So, yeah, there's that. Let me do one more run through here in the chat, and we'll go from there. NAS moves 200 to 500 points per day, and NAS is 200 points away from 8 hour 50%. I don't know what that means, 8 hour 50%. Yeah, I don't know what that means. 8 hour 50%. Like this. Is this what you're talking about? Maybe. Let's see. 200 points away from 8 hour 50%. Okay, that, I think, if my math is correct, is what you're talking about. Okay. So I think we're setting up for some nice buys maybe later. Oh, I see. Yeah, I mean, trading into the overall structure, getting back into somewhere in this area, if there's some clean setups, yeah, I think that could be worth it for sure. Oh my God, dude. I think it's going. Big pump. Absolute ripping. Nice. All right. So let's see here. Do you see an algorithm? Do you see an algorithm that moves the charts, or just sellers and buyers? Do I see an algorithm? I don't see shit. I just see what's in front of me. I don't see an algorithm. I think I see what you're saying. The algorithm thing, that there's like this higher force. I think that there's orchestrated. I think the market is orchestrated 100%. And I don't even, I guess, think, or the facts show that the market's orchestrated. Is it an algorithm itself? I feel like in order for the markets to move at this velocity, so calculated, so I think there's it probably does run through an algorithm, like the higher entities that, you know, play the game together, that just, you know, cycle money this way, based off of psychology, the order book, etc. Could that run specifically through an algorithm? Yeah, I guess it could. I think it's one and the same though. Like, I do think it's like, they're all orders. You know, like they're all positions, they're longs or shorts, they're buy positions, short positions. So I think what you're saying is the same thing. And in order for everything to go at the speed in which it does, I don't think it's like someone clicking a button going like, here are the guys, let's liquidate them. Like, I don't think there's this like evil suit guy that's just like, yes, go get them now. Like, I think there is some sort of program that runs collectively. I could see that, yeah. What's good, Ray? El Rey, Nadir, my boy. What's one simple thing you do in order to get into a creative frequency? To get into a creative frequency. Ooh, that's a good one. I just decide, man. I'm not really someone that does rituals or a whole bunch of different things really too much. It's just making a decision. I don't know. I don't need to. I don't know. I'm just not like someone that has to go and like do a whole bunch of things to just go like, all right, here's what I'm gonna make today. Here's what I'm gonna do today. It's just like I've told myself that I'm someone that does what they say they're gonna do, and then that's it. I think what you're asking is like, how do you? I don't know if your question is like, how do you source like creativity? If that's kind of what you're asking, like, how do you get into a state where like creativity can kind of flow through you? I think it's naturally easy when you're present more often than not. I think you're creative when you're not, like your mind just isn't elsewhere so much, and that's something that I would say I have. Like I'm pretty much here. Like I don't dwell ever, and I'm not too like I have stages. Here's my answer. The more prepared I am, the better I can do anything, whether it's be creative, whether it's like execution, regardless. So I guess a simple thing that I do to be in a creative frequency or to be in just a state of activity is preparation. I guess that would be it. And then music inspires me for sure. Gold's pumping, sweet. Yeah, Nadir, did you take that Adobe options that we talked about last week? Yo, this thing went fucking crazy. So it looks like the liquidity sweep was strong. Like as soon as this thing ripped below, it didn't go below London, which is what I honestly expected. Remember this little thing that I pointed out right here? I can't believe this thing was that supercharged. I was like, well guys, like we could get a little bounce out of here. Why? Why were you so powerful? This little, hold on, I gotta see something here. Like what? Oh, what's up, Devin? Devin from I need last names because guys, like your first name won't cut it. I'm gonna just be real. Unless your name is Harshi, then basically it's different. One of one. Oh, what's up, bro? Okay, Devin Nelson. Yeah. See? All right, that made it a lot easier. How you doing, man? That's funny. I'm calling you Madison, and like that must have been confusing for you. Yeah, what the fuck? This is crazy. Obviously, there was a lot of liquidity to sweep, so that in itself could do something, but I wouldn't have counted on that to do this. Oh, that's wild. London here, and then S&P took out London. This is not enough for me to take a buy there. And then Dow is on a generational run right now. All right. Well, guys, I'm sure you've heard more than enough from me on the day. What's the indicator called? It's the London high and low. And this one. Fair trading sessions is on the top left. If you just read your screen on the top left. Yeah. I got you. That's not by John Fibonacci, but yeah, I'm sure his works probably the same way or something. I just tried joining your okay, cool. I got you. Dope. Well, guys, good session. I know we started later than usual today, so I wanted to go and still give you guys about 90 minutes worth of some value. And it's been a good one today. I enjoyed this session, even though we got a little lost today. Small little L. I mean, the May has been wildly profitable. It's been a fantastic month. But this, you have to be able to lose. And in the losses, if you don't get so focused on like, oh, I lost something, like I don't even think about it that way. I just think about it like I'm exchanging it's opportunity cost. That's all it is. It's just opportunity cost. And how good is that opportunity for you? Because even the loss wasn't even a full R, it was like a half R. So like, what is the opportunity cost? If you look at it that way, then you're able to keep your mind open to learning, to observing, to growing, and you honestly enjoy it even more. So yeah, keep yourself in that state of mind and things are gonna go fantastic. So yeah, guys, awesome sesh. Appreciate y'all. What's up, Sean? What's good, my boy? How you doing? But we'll wrap up there. On Monday, guys, I will be releasing something, a little something for y'all. So stay tuned, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm gonna drop a video here in about an hour. All right. So in an hour, you guys will have a video from me. So go check that out. It's gonna be a good one. Peace.